Welcome back to the show. On Sunday, QTV paid a visit to the Southland Secondary School Coach Development Program, hosted by Sport Southland, where Jamie Tout of XLR8 took 60 student coaches through a testing skills program.
The XLR8 program has been put together for grassroots up to elite coaching. We've been fortunate enough to come in this afternoon to work with secondary school students, so it's quite a unique opportunity working with a younger age group. And what they're here for really is to get another experience in developing their coaching tool set and also look at the strength and conditioning, which we specialise in. Our goal is around speed and agility training, and we present these workshops internationally as well as here in New Zealand. And like I say, it's a really good chance for us to bounce some ideas around a new generation coming through and seeing what's important to them and how they train and what their sort of methodology around training is.
Is it specifically targeted to show them how to show other people? Is that how the concept works? Yeah,
absolutely. I guess it's twofold. With this range of athletes and this age group particularly, they can take this away and use themselves and train their peers, but also looking to develop them as coaches. And they're developing a skill set this afternoon where they can walk away with a good resource and understanding of how to use the training plan and the manual that they're being given, and also the DVD to put together their own session plans.
It's obviously a mix of theory and practice.
Yeah, it is, and it's been interesting this morning so far. It's I guess the athletes themselves are probably more taken to the hands-on, and we don't sit in the classroom to learn how to play the game. We get out there and do it, and I guess that's the benefit of what we do here today as well. We do reinforce good methodology through the theory, but we spend as much time as we can out actually doing it, feeling it, asking questions when we're in the field, and getting them a chance to explore themselves and find out what works for them and how and why it works.
And some unique exercises here. It's not just kicking a ball around the court. We saw earlier, obviously, with the parachute exercise.
Yeah, very much so. And I think nothing changes from being 5 years old to 50 years of age. You enjoy having fun, and if you enjoy doing what you're doing, you come back and do it again. So the fundamental things for us, what we're trying to do here is engage the athlete, wanting them to train with intensity as well. So a lot of what we do is based around competition exercises, and the moment you add an element of competition that creates the intensity, and if they enjoy doing it by having fun and do it with intensity, they're going to get better.
Do you have to fine-tune it much, your standard module for this age group, because obviously their concentration and their experience levels are quite different?
I guess you do. I think so far today they've shown a really good level of understanding, and it's just giving them a chance to answer the questions, really. I think sometimes we rush through it. We don't give them a chance to respond, and they feel a little bit maybe intimidated by either their peers or maybe saying the wrong things. So I think with this age group, you do maybe need to be a little bit more patient in allowing them to make the choices, get out there and experiment. If they get it wrong, so be it, but and give them another choice or maybe a better option for them. But yeah, I think as a rule, the content remains very, very similar, but maybe the way you present it and maintain the different modules changes slightly.
And delivering it in a full-day program rather than perhaps 1 hour sessions over several weeks is much more effective?
Yeah, I think so. I think getting them here, that they're committed to being here, and that's the thing, it's their choice whether they're here or not, and they've turned up on their own accord. And I think, unlike when they get told to go to school, they're there because they have to be. And today, for a Sunday, they've all turned up willing and able. And I think the one-day intense program also allows them to challenge a new person who comes into their environment, and then I guess move away with a new skill set.
The program delivery is obviously step one, but what's the follow-up? Because that's often the key to the long-term success of something like this. Oh,
I totally agree. I don't think there's any point in running these programs without the follow-up. I think it's really important they go away from this and they do design their session plans. It's covered by an accreditation that's recognised by REPS, which is a Register of Exercise Professionals in New Zealand. And so by filling out those session plans, they can get continuing education credits. So the session plans come back to me. I review them. I provide feedback for each of the people that submit their session plans, and by all means, it's an open door. If they want to ask questions and keep that correspondence going, we encourage them to do that. And we also try and encourage them to network together. So we try and put other XLR8 trainers from around New Zealand and around the world in touch with each other. And if they're in different countries, different towns, they can go and watch other people run sessions, which is where a lot of the good learning takes place.
And coaches are so hard to come by these days. If you can keep maybe 20% of these people in that facet of the game, then you've achieved something amazing.
Yeah, no, definitely. It is. It's coaching's moved away from, I guess, an expectation where it was always going to be voluntary to now having some paid positions. And so by having a bigger coaching pool, we're also hopefully develop a better athlete pool as well, which is something that's obviously very important to New Zealand.
Because you don't have to be a good doer to be a good coach, do you? That's been proven many times at the very highest level.
No, well, funnily enough, I think we've had a mindset that we've always, if you played rugby, you have to be a rugby coach. And I think a lot of our good handling drills, for instance, that rugby coaches use maybe stem from netball. So I think it doesn't matter necessarily the sport you played, but you can shift your abilities and your coaching toolbox to a different sport. And I think that's something that we are getting better at. And I think we are bringing in more specialist coaches in areas where they're strong. And I think if you look at around New Zealand, we're very fortunate to have some very elite coaches that have turned their hand to other sports and mentor other coaches.
And those who have little actual sporting achievement at all have turned into quite good coaches because they understand the concepts and can pass them to others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the athletes also respect that knowledge and how they interpret the skills and the drills. And the players, if it's a receptive coach, will learn a lot from their players as well, how to adapt their skills to maybe better their own coaching programs.
Tell us a bit about the history of XLR8. How did that all come together?
Yeah, sure. It's probably around 2000 I come across a guy called Glenn Jenkins. And Glenn and myself sort of had very similar, I guess, methodology in how we portrayed our speed and agility programs. And over the next sort of 2-3 years, we sort of formalised some of those ideas into designing a 3-tier system, bronze, silver and gold. The bronze program's been running now through South Africa, the Middle East, through the United Kingdom and Australia and New Zealand. And more recently, the silver program's also been run in the Middle East, in the UK, and more recently here in New Zealand as well. So it's a 3-tier coaching program, and we try to keep it to the point where all the concepts can be used at grassroots through to elite levels, but we're trying to create the progressions through the bronze, silver and gold so we can structure it into a more meaningful program.
So did we see what bronze today and golds for the elite?
Well, bronze is probably appealing to the wider cross-section, so we have physios, PE teachers, trainers and coaches, students come along. Silver's probably those that take it slightly further in the sense that they will look at for a more of a hands-on coaching gig week to week. And the gold program is more how do we measure and monitor speed and power. So using different forms of technology, teaching people how to use that technology and periodise their programs.
So where does the bulk of the interest come from the sporting industry? Where are you getting most of your work from at the moment?
I would say academic institutions, be that probably phys ed teachers as well as students who may be studying a phys ed degree. In saying that, we do get a lot of provincial trainers from the different rugby unions or different netball franchises come along. And overseas, particularly, it's the universities that are adopting the course.
Do you have to adjust it for New Zealand conditions, or is it a worldwide sort of global phenomenon that you can deliver anywhere?
I think I've probably changed my mindset slightly on that. I think initially we did have a generic coaching program that was orientated around speed and agility for teams, but very much it's if you can give examples of teams that are using the type of program and how they're using it in the different sporting environments. Obviously rugby, cricket and netball are big here in New Zealand, but possibly when you go to the UK they're looking for more football examples and why speed and agility training is relevant for football. For instance, what distance they're covering in games, how many sprints they're doing in a games, how long those sprints are, how do we put that into a program.
You talked about technology. Are we talking about software programs? Is that what you're developing along these lines? Yeah,
very much. We work with 2 or 3 companies. One, which is an Australian-based company called Visual Coaching. They help us periodise our programs and put coaching programs together so we can remotely tutor athletes. They can log on to the program, look at the drills. Another company is VX Sport, which is a New Zealand-based company, and what they're doing is through GPS technologies, measuring how far athletes are running in a game. They also use accelerometers to help us break down the leg forces. We can see if an athlete is balanced on their left and their right sides. And those sort of things are really important to us at the elite level to try and create longevity for the athlete, keep them involved in the game for longer and keep them on the field. And that's their livelihood, so it's important we do that.
And I suppose you've got a key role in translating that technology because it looks impressive, but unless you know how to get the best out of it, it's a waste of time.
That's right, and I think there's 2 sort of schools of thought. One is the academic approach that wants to see the raw data, and they'll use that for their research and their studies. And the second one is the trainer or the coach who wants to be able to leave the training paddock, go back to their desktop and have something in a graph form which is easy to interpret. And they can see quite quickly what percentage of time the athlete spent moving at high speeds, how many sprints they did, and how long those sprints were. And if that's easy to read, it becomes meaningful. But if it's just in raw data format, it's no good for anyone. So it's important how it's put across.